So inequalities are expressions which may involve the greater than sign, the greater than equals to sign, the less than sign, or the less than equals to sign. And inequalities are of three types: linear, quadratic, and cubic. In this video, we'll cover linear inequalities. And when it comes to linear inequalities, we have to cover how to solve them and their representation. So, first of all, let's learn how to solve them. That is the step-by-step isolation of x. So, in the first example, we'll take 5 on the other side. So we have 1 plus 5, and then we have 2x is greater than 6 and x is greater than 3. Similarly, in the second example, we'll take 1 on the other side. So we have 5 plus 1 and 3x is less than equals to 6 and x is less than equals to 2. In example 3, we'll take 5 on the other side. So we'll be left with minus 1 plus 5 and 4x is greater than equals to 4. Thus x is greater than equals to 1. And in example 4, we have 5x is less than minus 1 minus 4. So we have 5x is less than minus 5 and x is less than minus 1. Now, how to represent these inequalities? So, if we have a less than sign or a greater than sign, we'll use an empty circle. But if we have a less than equals to sign or a greater than equals to sign, we'll use a filled circle. So we'll start with the representation. So in the first example, x is greater than 3. So we'll make an empty circle at x, no, at 3 rather. And since x is greater than 3, the arrow will point right. In the second example, we have x is less than equals to 2. So the circle will be filled and the arrow will point towards the left. In the third example, we have x is greater than equals to 1. So the circle will be filled and the arrow will point towards the right. In the fourth example, x is less than minus 1. The arrow, the circle will be hollow or rather empty, and the arrow will point towards the left. We'll take two more examples, and yeah. So in this case, sorry, we don't have an x here. So we have minus 2x is less than 7 minus 3. So minus 2x is less than 4. And notice here that we have a minus sign. So we'll multiply both sides by minus 1. Or the other option is that we take minus 2 there and we'll divide 4 by minus. But whenever we have a minus sign, keep in mind that we will have to change the sign of the inequality. Thus, x is greater than 4 minus 2 and x is greater than minus 2. So to represent this inequality, we'll make an empty circle at minus 2 and the arrow will point right. In case of example 6, we have minus 3x is greater than 1 minus 4. So we have minus 3x is greater than minus 3. So in this case, we have a minus on both sides. But since we have a minus with a variable in the inequality, the sign of the inequality will change. So x is x is less than minus 3 over minus 3, and x is less than 1. We'll make an empty circle at 1, and the arrow will point leftwards. So from these two examples, we conclude a very important point. That is, whenever there is a negative sign with a variable in an inequality, irrespective of the sign on the other side of the inequality, the sign of the inequality changes. I repeat, whenever there is a negative sign with a variable in an inequality, irrespective of the sign on the other side of the inequality, the sign of the inequality changes. And then our last and final example, what will we do in this case? In this case, we'll treat both the inequalities separately, like this. So in the first case, we have 3x minus 2 is less than equals to 5x minus 6. So we have 3x minus 5x, 3x minus 5x is less than equals to minus 6 plus 2. We have minus 2x is less than equals to minus 4, and we have a negative sign with the inequality, so irrespective of the sign on the other side of the inequalities, the sign of the inequality will change. Thus we have x is greater than equals to 2. We draw a line here, and yeah, so now we'll look at the second part. So we have 5x minus 6 is less than equals to 2x plus 3. 5x minus 2x is less than equals to 3 plus 6. So we have 3x is less than equals to 9, and x is less than equals to 3. So now, how do we represent these two separate inequalities on the number line? So for the first inequality, we'll draw a filled circle at 2, and the arrow will point rightwards since x is greater than equals to 2. In the second case, we have x is less than equals to 3. So we'll make a filled circle, but this time it will point towards the left. And that's it. And linear inequalities are wrapped up.